Hi, this is Colleen Pearl, the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so sorry my face isn't on here, but I am slammed in my civilian job, and in order to get my videos up, I don't have time for the Glam Squad. So I'm just putting all the information out there for you guys, and I hope you can appreciate that. As soon as things kind of loosen up at work, I'll be able to get my Glam Squad together and get back in front of the camera. All right, so we're going to start out on May 30th at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. We are going to have a new moon at 9 degrees Gemini, 3 minutes. And that's very exciting because it's not an eclipse. The new moon in Gemini is male, it's an air sign, it's mutable, and it's ruled by Mercury. The new moon is a great time for a fresh start, exploring your potential or any potential for new things, beginnings especially, claiming important dreams, noticing your emotional triggers, and tapping into emotional issues. This is the time, guys, at the time of the new moon where you really go into your body, go within, really, really feel your body, feel your feelings, and tap into those emotions. As you find out what makes you emotional, this is a clue to where you need to do your shadow work. So, shadow work is not some extremely exotic, esoteric concept. Shadow work just means that there are emotional crunchies and demons in there that you need to get at and weed out. And the way to do that, the new moon is an excellent opportunity to just feel your feelings. What makes you emotional? Is it that weird commercial that you see when you're trying to look at your favorite YouTube channel? Or is it when, you get a phone call from your mom? Or is it something having to do with your cat? I mean, it could be anything, but if it triggers you emotionally and you feel like, oh, this is weird, I didn't know why I would be crying about this, that's a clue that there are issues there that need to be addressed in shadow work. That's all you do in shadow work. So, just follow that down the rabbit hole and see if you can figure out what's causing that and see if you can relieve it, forgive yourself, or forgive the people involved. That's shadow work. I mean, it's not everything about shadow work, but that's a good beginning. That's a good place to begin. Now let's look at the moon in Gemini. When the moon is in the sign of Gemini, we have a lot of quick energy. It's very chatty. Geminis love to talk. They love social interactions. They love talking. They love conversation. And they love to work with their hands, and very often doing handicrafts or cooking, baking, things that you actually do with your hands. These are things that you might find yourself doing when the moon is in Gemini. Learning to do something new is something you might do when the moon is in Gemini. And most of all, Geminis love to have fun. They're just a very fun-loving sign. Now let's talk about the retrograde planets happening at the time of this new moon. First of all, we have Pluto, which is going to be retrograde all month and into June. And this is Pluto right here. It's a little picture of Pluto. And then we have Mercury, which is still retrograde for a few more days. But Mercury, shown right here, is in the sign of Taurus. So even though Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, at the time of this new moon, Mercury is not in Gemini, it's in Taurus, and it's moving slow, slow, slow. So that's a little bit odd. You've got the sun and the moon both in Gemini, but Mercury is not there. So just know that your brain is going to take a little while to catch up with everything else that's going on. Now, Mercury is going to station direct on June 3rd and begin its forward motion on June 4th, but the new moon is happening on May 30th. So you have a few days there where you're still dealing with the retrograde. And in my experience, at the very tail end of the retrograde, which is going to be this Memorial Day weekend here in the United States, it may not be a holiday in other parts of the world, but on this last weekend in May, you may find that the Mercury retrograde really kicks into high gear. Right at the end of the retrograde is when we usually have it really, really kick our butts. So just be prepared for that as well. Now, let's take a look at the chart of an event of the new moon. As you can see up here, we have Neptune hanging out in Pisces at the end of Pisces, but we have these three planets here in Aries. We have Jupiter, Mars, and Chiron all in Aries. And Mars and Jupiter are conjunct. They're at 4 and 3 degrees respectively. So they're actually very close to each other. This little hash mark you see up here in red, that's indicating the positions for Mars and Jupiter. So these guys are really close to each other right now. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You've got Venus in Taurus at 2 degrees, Uranus at 16 Taurus, the node at 21 Taurus, and Mercury at 26 Taurus. So we have a little cluster here at the end of Taurus with all of these planets here. But Mercury, which is retrograde, and Uranus are too far away from each other to be considered conjunct. However, the node is directly in between them. It's directly halfway between both of them. So it's interesting. Uranus is conjunct with the node and Mercury is conjunct with the node, but Mercury and Uranus themselves are too far away to be considered conjunct. So that's interesting. The moon and the sun are right here at 9 degrees of Gemini, and that's the bulk of the planets. I mean, yes, you've got Saturn out here and Pluto out here, but these are not planets. These are not planets. So here's the bulk of our planets just going through three signs, really. Interesting. So it's going to be really interesting. And now we're going to talk about other planetary placements on May 30th. So the first thing is that the sun and the moon together are the new moon, and I'm going to abbreviate those as just N period, M period for new moon, because when the new moon, which is the sun and the moon together, is hit with Martian energy, it makes everyone a little bit frantic. Mars is our aggression, our assertiveness, how we play sports, how we move through the atmosphere. So combining that with the sun and moon in Gemini means things will be moving even faster that day than they normally would. Gemini is a mental air sign, but they also love a good pickup game of basketball or anything that would allow them to play with their friends. So make the most of this energy over the Memorial Day weekend. Play, relax, get together with friends because you need to connect with others in your social sphere in order to really relax. Enjoy the camaraderie of friends under this transit, and you'll feel all the more rejuvenated come Tuesday morning. This long weekend could be a heavenly respite for many because it will give that social boost and cause everyone to take action in order to come together and either relax or have fun or play games or remember those who served our country. The next aspect we're going to talk about is Mercury square Saturn. And with Mercury squaring Saturn, basically we will be responsible in our thoughts about loved ones on this Memorial Day weekend. So anything that you might need to do, and I hope you're not doing this over this weekend, but this would be a great aspect to use when you have to dig into something like measuring things like engineering or doing something where you need a lot of discipline, but you need to attend to details. So that's what Mercury square Saturn is actually really, really good for. And then Mercury will also sextile Neptune, which brings in a lot of emotions. It just puts your emotions into overdrive. Mercury will trine Pluto, so this will cause you to contemplate the larger issues of society and your loved ones almost obsessively. And then Mercury will conjunct the node. So this means that your mission in life will be uppermost in your mind, and you will contemplate your future and the meaning of what your life will be. So taken all together, we have all these aspects just focusing on Mercury. So this means that over this weekend, Mercury, your mind, your communications, your ability to speak and express yourself is really going to be kind of taking a pounding. You've got the node conjunct and the square from Saturn. So both of those are really pushing you into responsibility land. And then you've got Neptune and Pluto that are just, so way out there. They're harmonious aspects, but they're such large planets. These are the transpersonal planets that it's really hard to kind of wrap your head around these, except for the emotional part and the obsessive part. But needless to say, you're just going to be thinking, thinking, thinking a lot. So, with all this Gemini stuff, you might as well be talking and thinking, which is more fun. That's a more relaxing, more fun activity. Then we have Venus square Pluto. So, this is possessiveness and jealousy that could be the order of the day. And then we have Venus sextile Lilith. And anything involving Lilith is going to involve the kinky sides of things. So your kinkiness comes out if you're in a relationship or if you just want to copulate, but be sure you trust your partner and please don't take any pictures because this could come back to bite you. Remember that Mercury is retrograde and it's there retrograde until June 4th. Next, I want to talk about Mars conjuncting Jupiter. Mars is energy and your physicality and your physical body, basically the way you move. And Jupiter is big things, large things, overly large things. So just be really careful. It's also overconfidence. Be careful that you're not thinking that you can, that you're 6 inches taller and 10 years younger than you really are. Be really careful if you're playing sports over this weekend, especially if you're doing anything extreme in sports. Just don't do it because you're probably going to get hurt. Mars is squaring Lilith. And this is another aspect that usually I would say would urge you to satisfy all of your sexual proclivities. But you could also find that you're spending a lot of energy covering up the idea that you have those sexual proclivities. So it depends on you, it depends on who you're with, and it depends on how much you trust these people. And we have Jupiter squaring Lilith. And Jupiter square Lilith says, no, you won't be able to cover up those proclivities. However, Lilith isn't just about kinkiness, it's also about helping women out of tough situations and being an advocate for women. So Lilith does not want women to appear weak and to be taken advantage of. So when she's powered by Jupiter, she can stand tall and be very proactive for herself and others. So look out this weekend for seeing that on display. Then I'm going to back up to Saturn square the node. We may feel that we haven't expended sufficient energy towards our mission in life so far. So I think of the nodes as kind of your mission in life. What did you come here to do? And because you may be feeling deficient in that area, it may cause you to make specific plans for curating your actions, for really laying out an action plan in order to fulfill your legacy. Or you may just feel depressed or bad about not performing and not living up to your own high standards. It depends on you. I would take the more proactive stance and try to curate more actions to fulfill your legacy rather than saying, oh, time's up, might as well throw in the towel. I didn't do well enough, so I'm just going to get depressed about everything. That's not a really positive way of addressing things. And then we come to Uranus conjunct the node, and here we have a brilliant inspiration. This could cause you to find a brilliant way of expressing your mission in life and your purpose and legacy. You could have sudden knowledge, you could have divine inspiration. So again, don't don't throw in the towel with the Saturn square node. Wait for that Uranus conjunct node to kick in and give you a little inspiration. And then we have Neptune sextiling Pluto, which I did leave last here. Issues surrounding power and transformation. These may seem really confusing and out of reach. And Neptune makes things very, very foggy now, but you're going to be impelled to try to capture power, try to bring about your own transformation, but it's going to be foggy. It's going to be hard to move through. So I would just suggest wait until Neptune and Pluto have those few days where they're both retrograde. That would be a really great time to make progress because both of the big giants would be as well. Pluto's a little guy, but very powerful. That would be a good time because they'd both be kind of asleep in that retrograde motion. So now we're going to move on to predictions for all the signs. So we're going to start with Aries. So Aries, you have the Aries planets in your first house. The new moon is in your third house, and you've got some big planets in your second house. So Aries, you have Jupiter and Mars in your first house right now. Neptune's creeping up on the 12th, but what you want to be careful of is overblowing your status of being overconfident, really kind of boring everybody with your, tales of your amazing prowess. Just try to take it down a notch over this weekend. Yes, you're strong, you're wonderful, and you're Aries. You're very exciting, you're very fun to be around. But when Jupiter hits Mars there in your first house, you can become a little overbearing. So just be a little careful of that. Just realize the whole world is not agreeing with you on just how amazing you are. Just kind of like keep it to yourself for a minute. I shouldn't say that to Aries. None of you Aries want to do that. Okay, fine. Go ahead and tell everybody how great you are. And then on Tuesday after the weekend, see how you feel. All right. Um, in the second house, you've got Venus and Uranus and Mercury there. I'm going to kind of ignore Venus there. Yes, that's going to bring you a little monetary reward as you go through life over the next few weeks. But really, what's important here is that this is where Mercury retrograde was really hitting you along with Uranus. So you've probably been experiencing this very push me, pull you kind of feeling in the area of your finances. You'd have brilliant ideas, and then something would fall apart. And then you'd have everything wonderful, and then something would not go. So this, back and back and forth kind of motion, because Mercury is retrograde and Uranus is the planet of surprise. The sun and the moon are in your third house of Gemini. So they are giving you fantastic ideas right now. If you want to dream up something, invent something, design something, or if you just want to have some really good discussions with people and to spend your social time talking with other people. That's probably what this new moon is so good for you. And yeah, that's what I want to say for you, Aries. Taurus, you've got Venus, your ruling planet, in your first house right now. So at the time of the new moon, so you're feeling really good. You're feeling beautiful. You're feeling happy. You're feeling social in your mellow kind of Taurus way. But you also have Uranus and Mercury retrograde there. So when it comes to follow through on things and making plans with your friends and just trying to have daily life go okay, it's not. You're having a hard time with that. And that's kind of back and forth, push me, pull you, not able to really get things in a groove. You just can't get things going in a routine, in a flow, Taurus. It's just kind of hard for you to call your life cycle your own. It's things are not working out for you really great right now, but it's not terrible because Venus is there kind of smoothing things over. So, my best advice would be wait until Mercury finally gets into Gemini, which is your second house, which is going to kind of spark up some new interest in your income, maybe a new income stream, maybe something happier having to do with your income. And also, the second house, what a lot of people miss is that the second house isn't just money, it's also how you value yourself. What kind of value do you put on your own skills? And what kind of value does the world put on those skills? So it's important for you, Taurus, to take stock of your own skills. And this new moon is in your second house. So the new moon is really focusing on your skills and how you feel about your skills. Unfortunately, you've got Uranus and Mercury kind of screwing up the whole thing about just you. How do you feel about you and what's going on with that? So you're going to have to wait about 2 weeks, closer to the almost to the next full moon, before you really kind of get out of this slump. But it's not horrible. I'm here to tell you that these are not horrible planets. They're just quirky. It's just quirky, weird. It's just like not smooth. So that's what I'm saying for you. Well, Gemini, I mean, the sun and the moon are in your first house, so you're feeling like $1 million and you're feeling like the star of the show. You've got all of your own energy just going full blazes, and you should be having fun. You should be enjoying life a lot. You do have not Neptune, Uranus and Mercury retrograde hovering in your 12th house, however, so you may be having very strange dreams, and you may be finding, if you are psychic or clairvoyant in any way, any of the clairs, you may find that your senses are just bizarre. You may feel like it's a solar flare every day for the last month or so, especially while Gemini is retrograde, because it's stimulating you, but it's not giving you satisfying results. So your communications with the other world are just bizarre right now. They're just not making sense to you. They will make sense a little later when Mercury actually goes into Gemini, which is closer to the full moon. It's gonna smooth out for you. It's gonna be okay. And you do have Venus following up there in the 12th house. So Venus is going to make sure that you sleep okay and you're healthy, and eventually those messages will make sense. Now, in your 11th house, you've got Mars and Jupiter in Aries really kicking up a storm with groups that you may be joining, or groups that you're already a part of, people that you network with in these groups. You may be having a great time with them, although they may feel like you're kind of laying it on a bit thick. Are you Gemini? Are you kind of gilding the lily there as far as when you tell them about your accomplishments? I bet you are, just a tiny little bit. But I will forgive you, because anybody that gets hit like that with Mars and Jupiter in their 11th house is probably going to do the same. Going to do the same. All right, let's move on to Cancer. Cancer, this new moon is hitting you in your 12th house. And since you are kind of a dreamy person, you're all into your own intuition and everything like that, this new moon is really just exploding your intuition. So you're probably having, over the course of this new moon, you're probably going to have some really dynamic and important dreams. You're probably going to have some psychic revelations that you just feel are terribly important. So go with that, Cancer. Don't forget to write down your dreams during this period, and make sure that you pay attention to all those little signals and signs that you're getting from the universe in everyday life. Look at the clouds, look at the birds that are around you, look at the things in the grass, look at the feathers that you find on the ground, look at the numbers on the speedometer, look at the numbers on a clock. See if you can tell that there are messages coming to you through the signals of the universe, because they are, Cancer. This new moon is just saying in spades that you're going to get lots and lots of intuitive messages. Now, in your 11th house, you've got Venus, Neptune, keep saying Neptune for Uranus, Venus, Uranus, and that Mercury retrograde along with the node in your 11th house. So that's kind of weird. Now, this is going to affect the groups that you're a part of, and also your own hopes and wishes, Cancer. So you may be reorganizing what your plan is for, like, when you leave this job, or if you're going to retire, or what your next career move is, and you're just all over the map. You're not able to make a really coherent decision and stick to it. So don't. So dream a lot of dreams, make, 5 million vision boards. And then once you get past this Mercury retrograde, and you get past all this activity in your 11th house, meaning Venus and Mercury get out of your 11th house. So we're talking maybe July, not too long, but maybe by July, that's a better time to make that vision board and really decide what it is that you're going to be doing when you finish whatever this phase is of your life. You've also got Jupiter and Mars in your 10th house. So they're probably very close to your midheaven right now. So if you are going for a promotion or a big new job, a big leap up in income, a big leap up in prestige and responsibility, and status in your career, in your chosen field, this is the time to do it. You've got fantastic power in those planets to really boost your career. So don't ignore that, Cancer. That's really great. That's just great. That's fantastic planetary alignment for you right there. So, Leo, this is going to affect your 11th house a lot. And this means that the new moon is affecting the groups that you're a part of. So networking, professional groups, hobby groups, any kind of group that you're a part of. If you volunteer, that kind of a group, anything that you are a group member of, you're going to have the new moon there. So something new is going to start within your group. Maybe a new project, or it's a new season for the group, or you're going to be doing, you're going to be making some changes. I would say probably not changes, but something new is going to be coming into the group, and maybe you're going to lead it. Maybe you've decided that you want to throw your hat in the ring as a leader of some kind in that group. But something new is going to be happening for you as it pertains to groups. So in terms of your career, you've got Venus probably somewhere close to your midheaven right now, and then you've got Uranus and Mercury retrograde at the tail end of your 10th house. And this could mean that it's time for a change in your career, or you're just thinking a lot about, what does this mean to me? Why am I working so hard? What's going on? At the same time, though, you've got Venus coming up on there. So it could be that you get some kind of a reward, and that kind of changes things. Now, Uranus is the planet of, eccentricity and sudden change and bizarre stuff and unusual things. But Mercury has been retrograde in that 10th house for a few weeks. And so you probably don't want to make a change in a career during a Mercury retrograde. You probably want to wait it out until Mercury is really back into Gemini, which is going to be 2 more weeks. So you're going to want to wait until that next full moon if you are going to make some changes in your career. I wouldn't do it right now. And Venus is there telling you, look, I'm going to give you some rewards if you hang out here a little bit longer. So it's probably not a good time to change careers, Leo. And then the 9th house, you've got Jupiter and Mars together in your 9th house. So there could be travel coming up for you. There could be a long, huge trip that you're planning, like a big overseas thing or something that could just out of the blue just start coalescing, and you could be finding yourself very excited about taking that trip. Or, I mean, am I thinking that this is business? No, I don't think this is business. I think this is just pleasure. So it'd be a really good trip for you to take. Now, if it's not travel, if it's not going on an overseas trip, you could be then publishing a book. You could be learning about, taking courses about places overseas. You could be learning about new religions or philosophies. You could be delving into the law. You could have a very favorable outcome on a legal matter during this time. Or, like I said, publishing. The 9th house runs the gamut of a lot of things. It's publishing, it's the law, it's foreign countries, it's the internet, it's space, it's computers, it's religion, it's philosophy. It's not the religion you were born with, it's the religion that you choose as an adult. So any of those areas could have a big boost in confidence and a big boost of energy real soon. All right, Leo, let's move on to Virgo. So, Virgo, you have this new moon in your 10th house, which means that there's something new coming in your career, something that's really going to slap you right between the eyes. So, look for maybe a change in management, or look for a change in your role in your career, or look for, and I'm saying change because it's Gemini, or just look for a new project to start that you may be leading, something that's really going to put a feather in your cap. You've got the other planets with Mercury, Uranus, and Venus in the 9th house, meaning that there's things brewing having to do with possibly foreign countries, or publishing a book, or doing travel overseas, or learning about things overseas, or starting something new about philosophy or religion, or going overseas, or the internet, or computers, or space, or outer space. So a lot of things. Now, a lot of that stuff, that 9th house stuff, is not really going to get off the ground because Mercury has been retrograde, and it's going to be retrograde for a few more days when you're listening to this. And so Be a little bit careful about committing to things. Take a more, I just need to kind of get the lay of the land, kind of a wait and see kind of thing, and see if they go for that. All right. What else do we have here, Virgo? Eighth house. So you've got Jupiter and Mars in the eighth house. Now, this could be dynamite for joint finances if you have a business, or if you are married and you and your spouse have big investments, or I don't know, insurance policies or something. Something's going to pay out. You're going to be getting some money from somewhere when this kind of thing hits. Mars with that Jupiter, you definitely have something coming to you during this month. Libra. All right, Libra, this new moon is happening in your ninth house, which means that you are going to have something new on the horizon having to do with one of the ninth house topics. Now, the ninth house has a lot of different topics. For instance, it rules the internet, it rules computers, it rules outer space, it rules foreign travel and foreign countries, it rules the law industry, it rules the publishing industry. It rules philosophy and alternative religions. Alternative in that it's not the religion that you were brought up with as a child. So you could have some new project in that area. And if you're a metaphysical person and you're listening to this channel, so you probably are, then it could mean that a new school of thought, a new philosophical school of thought, or a new religion catches your eye and you get very, very interested in it and maybe begin studying it in earnest. We also have a couple of planets in your eighth house that are going to make things a little messy having to do with your joint finances. You've got Mercury retrograde in your eighth house. Uranus has been there for a long time, and you've got Venus peeking her head into the eighth house as well. Now, Uranus, I think you've probably learned to live with by this point because it's been at least 5 years since it's been in your eighth house. But Venus is just now getting into your eighth house, and Mercury's been there. The whole Mercury retrograde pretty much has been taking place in your eighth house. So don't make any changes to joint finances. Don't make any big changes to your taxes, to like your mortgage or anything like that during this period. Wait until the first week of June. That's a safer time after June 4th. Then you can make those changes. And also, by the time of the next full moon, the Mercury will be in Gemini fully direct and back into Gemini, which is going to put it into your ninth house. So Mercury is not going to be there making any trouble for things having to do with joint finances for you. Now, you've also got Jupiter and Mars in your seventh house. Uh-oh, this could mean a baby. This could mean really great sex. This could mean a love affair. This could mean a lot of things. When you have Jupiter conjunct Mars, all sorts of explosive things are going to happen, and especially in your seventh house. So, Libra, I'm going to say that if you're unattached, you soon will be attached. And I'm going to say that the person's going to be tall because they're going to be big and strong. So that's kind of exciting for you. But Jupiter and Mars there just means you're going to be given a boon, a blessing, something big and exciting and physical that you can really get behind. So Libra, kudos to you. Great, great for you for this new moon. And I'm going to move on now to Scorpio. Scorpio, hello. Your new moon is in your eighth house. And so this is emphasizing joint finances, sex, death, and taxes, anything occult or hidden. So something new is going to be on the horizon in this area of your life. You could decide to, scrap everything about your joint finances, your retirement, and all that stuff and just start over. You could decide to add on to it. You could decide to start studying something metaphysical. That could also be happening, Scorpio. And if you're listening to my channel, I think that's probably the most likely thing to be happening. Now, you've also got Uranus, Mercury, and Venus in your seventh house. And that means that you're going to be looking at changes in relationships or looking at things in relationships that you would like to change. Not necessarily changing the relationship or ending it or anything, but making changes to how the two of you handle things. And since the new moon is in the eighth house, that means that it's probably going to be a focus on things that you jointly own. So take a look at that. Be careful making any real changes until Mercury is direct. That won't be until June 4th. And make sure that, you've got Uranus there, and Uranus has been there for a while now in the seventh house. So things with your relationship have probably been a little up and down for the last few years anyway. Don't judge the relationship by that. That's Uranus. Now, you've also got Jupiter and Mars in the sixth house, which means that you're putting a tremendous amount of energy into your work. And that could be causing your relationship to suffer. So, look at it that way. Maybe you do need to focus more on your relationship and to give your partner something to reassure them that all the energy that you're putting into your work doesn't mean that you don't love them anymore. So really think about that, Scorpio. You just had those two eclipses going on the Taurus and Scorpio axis. So I'm sure that for you, everything about relationships has really been in focus probably for the last 2 months with all the eclipse activity. So think about that. Get a good astrologer. I'm available. You could always come to me for a reading. Okay. And let's see. Let's move on to Sagittarius. All right, Sag, you've got the new moon in your seventh house. So your focus is going to be on your relationship for this new moon. Now, thank God it isn't another eclipse, right? We're very happy about that. Last year you had those eclipses going on in your in your sign, and so that was probably really testing your relationships. But this new moon is for sure in your seventh house, and so something new is going to be coming about concerning your relationship. Could it be like another new partnership, like a business partnership? Could it be a new pet or a new baby coming into the home? Could it be just a new project that the two of you want to take on, redecorating your house or building out another wing or remodeling the yard or something? But something new is going to be happening, and it has to do with your relationship. And then we have planets in your sixth house. That would be Venus, Uranus, and Mercury, which is still retrograde. So, with those planets in your sixth house, work is kind of wonky. It's good sometimes. You're getting some kudos, you're getting some rewards, but you've also got Uranus there. So, things are changing all the time. It's really kind of difficult to keep things on an even keel. Plus, we've got Mercury retrograde thrown into the mix. So don't make any decisions and changes about your work life until Mercury goes direct, which is June 4th. Make sure that you give everybody a chance to explain themselves, because Uranus is hard to deal with, but because Venus is there. And that means that ultimately you will be able to get some rewards and some kudos from the higher ups on your job. So it's not going to be too awfully bad, Sagittarius. Capricorn, this new moon is in your sixth house, so something new is going to be happening on the job. Either you're taking on new responsibilities or new people are coming or going, but the focus for this new moon is really going to be about your job. And if it isn't about your job, if it's more about things at home, it's going to have to do with your health and the routines that you use to keep yourself healthy. So you may want to focus this new moon on your health and on your body and how you treat your body. Maybe revamp your diet, maybe revamp your workout routine, maybe revamp your routine in general so that you have more time at home relaxing with the family. I don't know, whatever you need, Capricorn, that's what you're going to do with this new moon in Gemini in your sixth house. Now, in the fifth house, you've got Venus, Uranus, and Mercury, but Mercury's retrograde, and that's your house for fun. Do you know what that word means, Capricorn? Fun. It means that you relax and laugh and have a good time with your friends and kind of chill out. That's fun. Uh, but you've got Uranus and Mercury retrograde there. So it's probably been a little bit tricky for you to have fun lately. So you need to carve out some time, make appointments, even if you need to, Capricorn, to make sure that you do have the fun. But here's the thing. Mercury has been retrograde. It's been screwing up all your plans, I'm sure, having to do with the kids and family time. So just put up with it for just a little bit longer. By the time we get to the full moon, which is another 2 weeks, Mercury is going to be fully into Gemini and things will feel a little bit back to normal. We won't be under any of that retrograde nonsense. Now, Uranus will still be there. I can't help you there. But Venus will be a little deeper into your fifth house. And that's the time where you could do a little, at least a weekend, if not a full blown vacation away with the family, where you can really relax and really get into what it is that the reason why you had a family in the first place. You love these people. These are the people you want to spend all your time with. Aquarius, you've got this new moon in your fifth house. So, could you be having a baby? Could you be welcoming a new addition to your family? Maybe a new pet. Maybe you're having a new love affair. That's another possibility with a new moon in your fifth house. Something about the new moon is going to kick off a new thing having to do with the fifth house. And the fifth house is fun, it's children, it's sports, it's games of chance, it's love affairs. So, any of those topics, you're starting something new in that area. And then we have in the fourth house, we have Venus, Uranus, and Mercury retrograde. So the fourth house is all about your home. It's your actual home, the real estate that the home is on, and the family unit. It's actually the beginnings and endings of your life. But the home, when you're not at the beginning and ending of your life, it's just your home, how you live, what the family's like, what's the dynamic, what's the structure. With Uranus there for the last few years, it's been up and down and chaotic and changing and all sorts of stuff. But we have Mercury there and we have Venus there. Venus is just at the beginning of that house right now, but Mercury is kind of at the end and it's retrograde. When it goes direct, it's going to zoom out of that fourth house and back into your fifth house, where it's going to be able to help you make better decisions about what's going on with the new project that came on the new moon. So by the time we get to the full moon, Mercury will catch up to where the full moon is, and you'll be seeing that it's really a ray of sunshine there. So I think your summer is going to be really great, Aquarius, because that fifth house is really going to be lit up by the time we get to that Sagittarius full moon. Now, the Jupiter Mars conjunction is happening in your third house. So, ideas, big, big ideas, Aquarius. Oh my God, you are the visionary anyway. And with Jupiter and Mars conjunct in your third house, your ideas for how to do things are going to be large and just very aggressive, very bold, very, very bold. So, I would say if you're a designer or like an architect, an urban planner, something like that, your ideas are just going to be fantastically off the charts, maybe too ambitious for what people want to try to accomplish, but you should try anyway, because that doesn't that Jupiter conjunct Mars aspect doesn't come along every day, and you want to use it to its fullest. And it's going to be exciting, Aquarius, because, like I said, you're already a visionary. But when you put that kind of planetary power into your house of ideas, you can really create amazing things. Pisces, you've got the new moon in your fourth house. That's the house for your home, the real estate that it's on, the actual building, and the family that lives within it that you call my family. So with a new moon there, it could mean that there's possibly a new addition coming into the family. Some kind of new project is going to be happening around the home. So whether this is getting, two new gerbils and a bunch of cages, or any kind of a pet like a dog, a cat, a bird, a rabbit, who knows? It could also be something to do like starting a new garden in the backyard. You could be planting a huge garden and getting the whole family involved with it. But the new moon is going to spark some ideas around the home, something new that you're going to do around the home. And then we have Venus, Uranus, and Mercury in your third house for lots and lots of ideas. So Mercury is still retrograde, so I would hesitate to really act on all of those ideas prior to June 4th. After June 4th, Mercury does go direct, and so it's a lot better bet that things are going to go smoothly after June 4th. But you've also got Venus there in the third house. So beautiful ideas. Pisces, you can dream up amazing designs. You can be very inventive, very, very creative, very imaginative during this new moon. And you've also got Jupiter and Mars conjunct in your second house for money. So you're probably going to be sparking an idea that's going to make you a ton of money. That's what I'm going to say, that Jupiter and Mars together in your second house is just going to bring blessings and bounty to you and your family. So good, good, good news for you, Pisces. I'm very happy for you. Have a great new moon. All right, so that's what I have to say, folks, about all of the signs, all of the predictions for everybody on this new moon. I'm so glad that you watched this whole video. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And don't miss my video on the rest of the astrology at this time. And I'll see you next time.